Let me ask you a question. What has Bioware been doing during the latter part of this decade? While once a leader in the gaming industry, Bioware has fallen into mediocrity. Their last few entries have been disappointing at best and a complete disgrace to their old fans at worst. And with their latest game, Anthem, coming next year, it's time to ask some important questions. How did they get here? How did the studio with titles such as Mass Effect, Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic, and Dragon Age under their belt possibly fall so low? And the most important question we fans can ask at this point, is Anthem going to be another notch in a long line of disappointments for the company Bioware? Look, I've been a big Bioware fan for all my life. Ever since they released Knights of the Old Republic, I've bought every single one of their games that they've released. So today, I'm going to give a brief history on this great company and why their upcoming title is worrying me as a lifelong fan. Let's go back to where it all began, back to February of 1995. We find ourselves in Alberta, Canada. 6 college students have pooled their resources to make a proof of concept demo called Shattered Steel. This will be the first Bioware game ever created. After submitting their proof of concept and getting picked up by the publisher Interplay, the crew went on to finish Shattered Steel and released it to decent sales and modest success. The team was feeling good after having a successful first launch. From there, they went on to create a role-playing game under the Dungeons & Dragons license. This game would come to be called Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate went on to nearly match Diablo in sales by selling 2 million copies, but Bioware wanted to return to the action genre, so they did so with MDK2, a third-person shooter that they released on PC, Dreamcast, and eventually PS2. This would be their first taste of developing console games. In 2000, Bioware returned to RPGs, making Baldur's Gate 2. While being just as successful as the first Baldur's Gate game, Interplay still went bankrupt. Over the next 5 years, Bioware developed Neverwinter Nights and heavy hitters such as Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic, and Jade Empire. By this point, Bioware had cemented their status as game developers, and no one questioned what they brought to the table: immersive stories, classic RPG gameplay, and interesting characters. Around this time in 2005, Bioware and Pandemic Studios announced they would be joining forces, and 2 years later, it was announced this new partnership had been bought out by EA, with Bioware retaining its own branding. Later that year, Bioware released their first science fiction role-playing game since Knights of the Old Republic, Mass Effect. Mass Effect was an overwhelming success for Bioware. Its first venture developing on the Xbox 360 was critically acclaimed for years, winning several RPG of the Year awards and being named IGN's #1 game on the Xbox 360. Soon after this, EA merged Mythic Entertainment and Bioware so all role-playing development could be in one business unit. 2 years later, Bioware would go on to create the acclaimed RPG Dragon Age Origins. After the release of Origins, Bioware continued releasing good to great games, some of these including Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect 3, Star Wars The Old Republic, and Dragon Age 2. Then on September 18th, 2012, Bioware lost its heart and soul. 2 of the original co-founders and programmers for Bioware announced their retirement from the gaming industry. This would be the first of a bevy of major losses for Bioware. In 2014, the creator of the Mass Effect series, Casey Hudson, left Bioware. And 2 years later, the writer for Dragon Age also left. 2 more important dev team members from Mass Effect Andromeda left in early 2016, and in 2017, the general manager Aaron Flynn and the lead story developer for Jade Empire, Mike Laidlaw, also left the company, with Casey Hudson returning as general manager. Over Bioware's 23-year history, something has been very consistent. For the majority of its existence, Bioware has had at least 4 of its 6 founding members with the company. Once those founding members start dropping out from the company, some of the most important developers, leaders, and writers also seem to start stepping out. But even more concerning is a trend that Bioware has been following since earlier this decade. When Mass Effect 3 released, there was something added in that was never a staple of Bioware, something that was foreign to the studio: multiplayer. And since the addition of multiplayer in the last 3 main Bioware releases, what have we noticed? A consistent trend of bugs, lower quality stories, less interesting companions, the time being spent on multiplayer is taking away from what fans really want: an immersive story with characters that actually feel real. I'm not blaming the problems of the last few Bioware games on the multiplayer though. The multiplayer is a means to an end, the end being making money through microtransactions. And what company might be so greedy as to sacrifice the game's integrity and gameplay for money? EA, of course. And that's where my worries for Anthem come in. For the last few years, EA has proven they will sell the soul of a game for profit. They proved that when they abandoned Mass Effect Andromeda by taking half the team that worked on it and moved them to Anthem, and they proved it again with the microtransactions in Battlefront 2. Now with the lead writer Drew Karpyshyn leaving the Anthem project, my worries are at an all-time high. With the number of team members, writers, and animators that have left Bioware since Anthem was announced, it makes me feel as if this game was doomed to fail. Yes, the trailers look cool and pretty, but that doesn't equal great story, great gameplay, or great characters, things Bioware has been known for since day one. But with so many pieces of the original Bioware gone, can we really say this is the same company? The company that brought us Knights of the Old Republic and Jade Empire. The company that told stories that made you truly care about fictional characters. The company that we invested hundreds of our hours into replaying their games over and over and over again, and not once regretting it. At this point in time, the answer is no. 2008 Bioware and 2018 Bioware are not the same entities. Fundamental things are different about them, and we can thank EA for that. Anthem could be the saving grace for Bioware, the silver lining in a decade full of clouds, but I just don't see it happening. I want to see Anthem be everything that was promised to us and more. I have no reason to wish anything bad on this game, but I just can't put my trust in it. Inquisition ruined that for me. Andromeda ruined that for me. EA ruined that for me. Alright, that's it for me today, guys. I'm sorry this video was so depressing near the end, but really, this game doesn't really inspire that much hope or happiness from me. I really love Bioware. It's one of my favorite game developers of all time. They've really made some of my favorite games of all time, Knights of the Old Republic and Jade Empire, and of course Mass Effect. But right now it seems they're in a dark spot, and I really want them to revert back to what they used to be, something great, but the way it's going, it doesn't look like it. Too many pieces of that original core is gone. But at this point, I really want to hear what y'all think about it. Do y'all think Anthem could really save this company? Or do you think it's just going to be another line of disappointments like the last few games? Please let me know, comment down below. Subscribe if you really like me. Like if you really like the video. And that's it, I'm out.